Hello, truth seekers. Lawrence here, and welcome to Easy Enlightenment. So, forcing your mind or controlling the mind is not the way to be free from the mind. Controlling or forcing itself is the engaging with the mind. And when you're engaging with the mind, how can you be free from the mind? When you're controlling the mind, it gives you the illusion of moving away from the mind because you're so concentrating yourself with something that the other idea starts to fade because of that single point of focus. The focus does that. And when that is happening, when you are experiencing that, you have the idea that maybe this is the way, controlling is the way to get rid of the mind. But you can never get rid of the mind by engaging with the mind like that, like controlling and resisting. And you know that it doesn't work. When you are engaging with the mind, it seems like working. It creates a false illusion. But once you're done with that engagement, you are back with the same reality of mental struggle and emotional struggle. And you know that. If you reflect, that's the scenario. The struggle never ends. The fear never ends. The drama never ends through the controlling or manipulating approach. The only way to let go the mind is by understanding the mind. To understand the mind, you have to engage with the mind. Engaging with the mind means you have to examine the mind. You have to examine the mind in a way that you are tracing the mind backward to figure out how the mind come into existence and how the mind becomes a reality and how the mind becomes a true for oneself. So examining is the way to disengage with the mind. So forcing is not the way. Forcing is not the way. One of the the reasons to disengage with the mind is because you are mentally stressing. The mind is creating so much trouble in your life, and you could not get rid of the mind, or you have come to the point that to align with the divine or to be free or to see the truth, you have to let go of the mind. So those are the two scenarios, right? You're struggling with the mind, so you want to get rid of the mind, or you are aligned with the spirituality, and spirituality said to be free, absolutely free, you have to dissolve the mind. And because of that experience, you're doing the work to be free from the mind. And notice, now meditation is the trend, right? When there's suffering or when there's interest, we align with the meditation. Meditation is trending in the world that meditation is the way to dissolve the mind. And in the meditation, if you are involved in the meditation, the same situation is happening, isn't it? You are controlling your body to control the mind, or you're controlling the mind. In the meditation practice, most of the time the meditation comes with the technical approaches. There are tons of techniques, and every sort of techniques works to a certain extent. Meditation works in a certain meditation works to a certain extent is because you're focusing on certain things, and when you're focusing on certain things, it helps you to simplify your mind. You are moving from the chaotic mind or a complex mind towards the simple mind. In that sense, meditation works. But after that, it doesn't work. It doesn't work to figure out the truth of who you are. The technique, especially the technical meditation, is very limited. And again, the meditation, those technical stuff is a control-based approach. And also that technical approaches gives you further experience when you're meditating, when you focus intensely. That intense focus kind of dissolves, and that's where you start to go through the mystical experience. And when you go to the mystical experience, and if you're new to the spirituality, it is easy to assume that experience is the true reality. And that is a further illusion in the person from that assumption. The true freedom from the mind is not a highest meaning or highest experience. Especially when people go through those kind of mystical experience, it is so easy to assume that you have arrived. But this is the thing, no matter what experience you have gone through in your meditation as a mystical experience, look at your life. The fear has never ended. The conflict is still there. You're not able to stop the mental narration in your head. The drama is not ending, and that shows that you're not there yet. Mystical experience is, the distraction on the path to true freedom. So when those experiences come in, you just go through it, but don't get attached to it. So the reason to have that mystical experience is through the intense focus, technical focus. So that is simply a body controlling and mind controlling work. And it's not the way to be free from the mind. Again, engaging with the mind is not the way to be free from the mind. So if you see that the meditation is not working, the control base is not working, then what's next? The next approach is the self-inquiry. In the self-inquiry, you have to be aware of yourself. The conflict, the struggle, the drama is in you. You have to be aware of yourself. And this is a helpful meditation. Being aware of yourself without the techniques is a very helpful approach. Being aware of yourself sounds like a technique as well, isn't it? But it is not. Your awareness is watching yourself without manipulating your body, without manipulating the mind. Just watching. And when you're able to, sustain that focus on yourself, by the way, you can also dissolve the mental distraction, because that the process will help you to disengage with the mind, to be aware of yourself. So disengagement happens when you are aware of yourself. The calmness comes in you. The ease comes in you when you are witnessing yourself, when you're being the observer of yourself. And by the way, this is the foundation of the inward journey. It's the start, being aware. And the next part is, doing the self-inquiry. investigating the mind to figure out the nature of the mind and eventually to drop the mind. And to drop the mind, you have to see the truth, the unchanging truth. And unchanging truth is in you. Everything is changing in you except one thing in you is not changing. And the enlightenment journey is about actualizing the unchanging nature in you. So examining the mind is the way to see all the changing phenomenon to get to that unchanging. So we're talking about letting go of the mind here, right? So whether you're experiencing the pain and you want to let go of the mind because the pain is the source of mind is the source of trouble, that's why you want to get rid of the mind, or you have the interest through the spiritual practice that letting go of the mind is the way to realize the absolute truth. Now, here's the question. Why do you want to get rid of the mind? Now, does this sound stupid, isn't it? Yes, the mind is giving you stress. That's why you want to get rid of the mind. Yes, the spiritual references you that absolute freedom is not mine. That's why you want to get rid of the mind. But right now, these are just the assumption, isn't it? You're struggling because you don't know how to engage with the mind. So, ask yourself, why do I want to get rid of the mind? Definitely, you're struggling. I'm struggling, that's why I want to get rid of the mind, because the mind creates a lot of drama. Okay, that's your answer when you ask yourself, why do I want to get rid of the mind? That's the answer. Now, you ask yourself, where is that coming from? Where is that interest of letting go of the mind coming from? You want to get rid of the mind? Yes, you're going through the mental stress. But that mental stress is not just, it's just not happening in the mind. It is happening because of something else. So you have to find the root cause of the suffering. So whether you want to, again, you are interested in spirituality and you want to figure out the true freedom, that's why you want to get rid of the mind, because that's what the spirituality references you, or you are going through the mental torture in yourself. So ask yourself, why? Allow that why to take you in. Why do I want to get rid of the mind? Whatever answers resurface, why is that important? Or where is that coming from? The first answer. And when you see the answer, you don't throw away the answer. You can use the answer to connect the ideas to figure out the root. Why is that important? The second question. And there is the second answer. Now, no matter what answer comes in, now you use the answer to go in further, inward. Every answer you must engage with to trace the mind backward and eventually come to see the root cause of the surface uh, identification that you have. And once you see the root itself is an ingrained belief that is making you detach from the mind or to get rid of the mind. And then you have to get rid of the root as well. But notice that root itself is your movement in life. And you have to give up. The true freedom is about giving up, letting go. And that letting go creates a friction in you. Even on the surface, you're struggling. Okay? But that root is also comforting you in some ways. There's a contradiction on the surface. There's a struggle and there is some level of comfort or attachment. So when there's attachment to comfort, even you're going through the stress, you're not able to let go of that stress because of the opposite flow coming from the same realm. One of the reasons people get attached is because of the comfort, stability, safety. When people are going through, seeing this support, comfort coming in, and when people are going through the mental stress, emotional stress from the same attachment, people have a hard time to let go of that attachment. And that's what pretty much everyone's life is. The reason to have the inner struggle is latching to the outer movement of life. When there is a codependency in a relationship, that dependency is coming from the place of, again, attachment. And people try to ignore the stress, but there's a desire to be free from the stress, but the attachment is so powerful, couldn't get rid of the stress because of the attachment with that particular stuff. So there's so many things in life that people are attached. Job, relationship, anything. There are so many things people are attached to. And people are so numb to go through the stress just because of the attachment. So the relative world, the physical world is so real, comes to true freedom. That's why people just get lost in the physical world and pretty much they numb themselves in the physical world. And this is where the self-examination comes, to be free from the numbness, to free from the pain. Only self-inquiry, self-examination will help us to show us the reason for suffering. And most of the time people are not even interested in self-inquiry. People don't want to be part of the self-inquiry because self-inquiry makes you disengage from the world, from your routine, and people who are involved in self-inquiry, at some point they realize that you have to give up to be free. Or some people realize it's so boring, self-inquiry is so boring, the world is fun. There's many scenarios. But to understand the physical suffering, mental suffering, emotional suffering, psychological suffering, self-examination, self-inquiry is the way to figure out the root of the suffering. And basically that root has to be dismantled as well. And that's the way to, eventually see the truth, the unchanging truth in oneself. So anyway, here's the truth, that if you're controlling the body and controlling the mind, to be free from the mind is simply an illusion, and you know it. Instead of controlling, I highly recommend you to be self-aware. Be aware of yourself. If you learn to be aware of yourself, that will help you tremendously already in the inward journey and the outward journey. And then definitely in the outward journey you have to rearrange yourself, and the inward journey, being able to sustain the focus in yourself will help you to prolong the awareness on yourself when you are going inward. Okay? I hope this makes sense to some extent. Yeah. Time to stop controlling. If you have been controlling your body and mind for long enough, again, especially when you see some sort of result, it's just an illusion when it comes to true freedom. Controlling is not the way. To be who you are and rest in who you are, you have to dissolve what you are not. And to get to that point, yes, there is a little bit of work, but this work is not about controlling the body and mind. It's about examining. It's about being aware, and it's about examining yourself, and that's it. So invite yourself to self-inquiry if you're really seeking true freedom. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and I will see you in the next video. Take care for now. Bye.